So as I record this, episode 6 of WandaVision has just come out, and I spent a couple hours watching the show. It's the latest MCU show, and before I get into my review, I wanted to say this. I'm not somebody who follows Marvel. I don't keep up with it. It's not really my thing. So I am coming at this from the perspective of an outsider. There will be spoilers. And I definitely recommend, if you're an MCU fan, definitely check it out. I'm pretty sure everyone's talking about it. Everyone's saying it's amazing. So if you haven't seen it and you're a Marvel fan, you'll most likely like this. I'm coming at this from the perspective of an outsider, and honestly, I get why it was recommended to me, because there's this idyllic sitcom life that's portrayed that Wanda, Scarlet Witch, is living in. It's one of these, something's off, it's a fantasy life, it seems idyllic, but it's not what it seems. And there's quite a lot of references, pastiches of old sitcoms, 50s through the 90s. And I like a lot of old TV. I loved sitcoms for such a long time, and it was really cool to see such a visual send-up, and the visuals and the style is so gorgeous. I do like that old style. I love vintage things. And I actually do like the trope of someone living in a fantasy world that's not what it seems, a fantasy life that isn't really what you want. But it is still MCU, and this does rely on you keeping up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I wasn't getting it as much as other people were. I did get it, but ultimately I wanted to like it more than I actually did. And the thing is, I loved the pastiches of the sitcoms, and it was cool to see, what these tropes are, what tropes were so prevalent in popular shows of the time period. But they play these tropes, especially in the first 3 episodes. The sitcom tropes are portrayed way too straight. They don't have a lot of fun with the cliches. They're very much just doing them straight up. And for me, I would have liked it more if they pushed the joke a little further, had some more fun with it, made the comedy a little bit bigger. I really was not into the jokes. I just wondered, especially for those first 3 episodes, I was wondering, this is the show everyone's saying is so good? Really? Is this it? And granted, episode 4 is when it picks up, and it does, and I am interested in what's going on. I do get this. It is interesting, the ideas, what they're doing with it, but I'm generally not I'm not really as into it as I wanted to be, as I could have been, because, like I said, the sitcom world, again, they nail the style down very, very well, and the acting matches it very well. But the cliches are just portrayed way too straight, and I've seen a lot of these. As someone who watches a lot of old TV, it's not having as much fun with the cliches. I wanted to see, turn them on their heads a bit more and play with these ideas, push the joke further, and they very much don't. It's an homage. It's a little too close to an homage, and that's, even for the eeriness, even for the uncanny valley, I wanted it to exaggerate even more than what it did. I do like the ideas behind it. Again, visually, it is absolutely stunning. The acting's obviously very good. And then you get into the alternate world, and I'm not into that stuff either. I don't get into these military movies. With hackers and people trying to figure out, these alternate dimensions and how is this working, and a lot of these cop cliches, these military cliches, I really don't get into. And I'm not a big fan of Marvel superhero movie jokes. There's a lot of them, particularly with Kat Dennings' character Darcy. she undercuts a lot of serious moments. I'm not a fan of the character. Those Marvel-style jokes I so don't like. And it takes me out of that story, but the sitcom universe, as much as I like the look of that world way more, I'm not into the story there as much either because the comedy's not as exaggerated as it could have been. The ideas I do like the most are that Wanda, the main character, is controlling this world. She's the one responsible for this. She's not a victim in this. She's controlling this, and she's dealing with grief of losing Vision, who she loved, and she can't deal with reality. She's living in fantasy. I find that very interesting. And there's that Twilight Zone eeriness to it. And I love that idea. I generally really, really like seeing that play out. And the world, I think, the old-fashioned, the vintage world, I think looks really, really nice. So it is a shame I don't get into it nearly as much. Maybe if I were more of a Marvel fan, I'd have liked it more if I were keeping up with it. I definitely would understand it more deeply than I do. I could still watch it fine. I just really wasn't getting into it, which is a shame because I liked a lot of the ideas. I really liked the acting. It's very good. And it looks stunning. It's a very beautiful looking show. So, shame, because there's one character in particular that I think, oh, this could have been really, really funny. It's a Dottie, who is the queen bee in town of all the housewives. And that's a character type I know a lot of people like. It's a character type that can be very fun to play with. And I felt like, oh, come on, push it further. Make her really funny. Make her push the comedy. Make her more exaggerated. But it still felt like too safe, I guess. It never really made the next step into really playing with the cliches, really having fun with it. I mean, it's definitely a loving send-up to all these sitcom eras. But I felt like it could have done it more. I was just ready. I liked it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of funny. This is interesting. These are such tropey characters. And they're just these tropey characters, and okay, cool, it's great, it's good, it's fine. I know a lot of people like it, and that's awesome. But some of these ideas and these things that you did just see everywhere, I was so ready to be like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, I love this twist. Oh, I love this. I like this parody. I like these these jokes, these humor styles, these sitcom styles. I did find the 90s one pretty funny because that was, the kid talking to the camera, the troublemaking boy era. That's very much these 90s tropes. That was very funny. But everything else, actually, and even then, it was more I was laughing at, oh yeah, I remember this. It was, oh, this was such a cliche back then. In a way I wasn't seeing with the others, because with the others, the 50s through the 80s, we are seeing these parodies more, and I think with the 90s, it's recent enough that now we're being able to look back and see, oh, these really were all these tropes back then, and yeah, things have changed, maybe for the better. Maybe we lost a little something. But we're seeing, oh, this is what those tropes are. We really were just seeing these troublemaking kids everywhere. The man-child era, that was a thing. And that was captured very well. And even then, I'm definitely seeing what I want it to be rather than what it is. What it is very good, and I know a lot of people like it. A lot of people will like it. I don't think I'm going to keep watching, but I certainly appreciated the stylistic choices. I did appreciate these ideas. I definitely like this Twilight Zone-esque idea, and this character who's in grief. It's fresh grief, and she's can't deal with reality. She's living in a fantasy world, and that is very interesting. I like that idea. There's certainly a lot of that in the real world, and I find the psychology of that very interesting, but I can't get past the Marvel tropes. I can't get past I don't want to say safe, but in a way safe parodies. I don't even think it's trying to be a parody, but I wish it was. I wish with the different sitcom styles and eras, they did more of that parody. You can tell there was love there. But yeah, it's fine for what it is. Again, I'm an outsider. I'm not somebody who keeps up with Marvel. I'm not really a big Marvel fan. Or at least I am on a much, much more casual level. So it's good. I'd be curious as to what fans think. I'd be curious as to what other outsiders think. I like the look of it. I did appreciate being able to catch the sitcom tropes. I did appreciate the ideas. It is what it is. WandaVision.